Hi there, it's me again. I've just had my talk with Dr. Fedorenko, who has discussed my results, so I thought I'd better put these online while they are fresh in my mind. I wasn't expecting the talk until sort of 12 o'clock today, but the results are coming early, so he had a chat to me just now. Interesting stuff. So where do I start? First of all, I have been accepted on treatment, so they've looked at my results and they've accepted me. So that's fantastic. What he saw was, or the results have shown that I'm basically really, really healthy. Like all my results came in absolutely where they should be. So my body is a picture of health other than my MRI, which I'll talk about in a second. So all my bloods, ultrasounds, sinus, lungs, veins, vitamin levels, everything is spot on. So that's really fantastic. The only thing he did say, the one ultrasound did pick up a 2-centimeter cyst on one of my kidneys, which he said is nothing to worry about, but just that I should know. So, you know, I might have to watch out for that in the future, but he said it could have come from some kind of infection at some point, some years back or whatever. But other than that, I'm a picture of health, which is fabulous. He showed me my MRI scans. Now, what's really interesting, and this is well worth me telling you, the MRI scanners here are at least twice as good as the ones back in the UK. So they are known as 3 Tesla MRI scanners, whereas we have 1 or 1.5 Tesla scanners back at home. So these are twice as powerful and will pick up stuff that you just don't get to pick up in the UK. So in the UK, I had 3 lesions, I think, and they were inactive. So inactive lesions in your brain and spine doesn't necessarily mean that you're not getting more disabled. The inflammation of your central nervous system is what leads to your disability. So active lesions doesn't correlate with disability necessarily. So that's why I've been getting worse, but my lesions have been inactive since August. Had the MRI out here. Instead of 3 lesions, they found 11 lesions. And the ones in my brain are pretty small. They're inactive. All of them are inactive. The ones in my brain are pretty small, but I have some pretty bad ones on my spine. And he said that, you know, that's as most people in MS will know, that's a good sign of primary progressive MS. So it's more spinal than brain. He said there's some pretty big ones. They're pretty large, and they're blocking signals, and that's why my legs and my hands and my stomach and everything like that have no feeling particularly, and I have bad coordination. So that's generally something that comes about from spinal lesions. Oops. Sorry about that. I had to sign a bunch of documents. So what was I saying? Yeah, so the lesions on my spinal cord are blocking information going to my limbs, which is why I'm having trouble sort of walking and coordinating myself. And he said they're pretty long, they're pretty bad, which is all a bit like, kind of depressing, I suppose. You know, it's sort of, I think 3 centimeters, 2.7 centimeters, and here I had several on my spine, or he showed me several, at least on the MRI. I'm going to get given a CD of the MRI scan, so that's going to be really useful. So that was kind of a shock. I suppose I knew that must be happening because, you know, to think that I only had 3 lesions and they're inactive and there's not a lot going on, and yet my disability has worsened since August to the point where, you know, if I extrapolate that worsening, you know, for the rest of the year or for a year onwards from here, I'm thinking that's actually going to be fairly quick, a quick journey into disability. So having listened to all that, I'm more adamant than ever that this has been the right decision, and I'm hitting this as early as possible. And he said basically the success rate for PPMS, I mean, you're comparing it to 0% because, certainly on the NHS, but there is no other treatment pathway. So, go figure. But he was like sort of 70 to 85% success rate, somewhere in there, which is what I knew anyway, was in that sort of range. But it's still kind of depressing. You think, that's still 25%, still 20% unsuccessful treatments. But when there's no other option, what can you do? So, and he said, it's not just about the treatment, it's about what you do and how you deal with it afterwards, and it's about keeping healthy, keeping fit, and doing all those things, being really positive in mind. And he said, that's what gives you the 100% success rate. But that's where we're at. So he said, you're obviously right for treatment. He explained about the treatment and the schedule. One thing he did explain about was the myeloablative and non-myeloablative regimens, sort of course treatment that they give here. So just to explain, when your bone marrow, say you have 50% sort of red blood cells and platelets and white blood cells and whatnot, or red blood cells, platelets, and whatever it is, I don't really know. This, someone else is going to correct me on the comments here, saying that's completely wrong. And the other 50% of your bone marrow is lymphatic sort of stuff. Said myeloablative. Ablative means destroy. So myeloablative destroys everything there, and that's your hardcore HSCT, so chemotherapy. So you will destroy that before getting your stem cells that you've previously had harvested back again. But a newer type of technology, I suppose, or newer type of course treatment is to do non-myeloablative. Sorry, the nurses keep coming in. God damn it! I'm trying to do a video and you're trying to treat me and make me better. So the non-myeloablative, it only looks at the lymphatic half and destroys that, and a little bit more, maybe 15% of the other half. But it is not so hardcore, yet is equally as effective. It's equally as effective, and so they prefer doing that because the risk goes down considerably by doing this sort of lesser treatment, or the less hardcore treatment. So by only destroying what they need to destroy rather than everything in the bone marrow, you are far less at risk for other complications and mortality, basically. So he explained that and said that's what we do. We talked a little bit about mortality and risk, and he said, this is exactly what I thought, which is, in the early days, they treated 1,500 patients here now. And I was going on figures previously of about 800 patients, where 4 had passed away, sadly. But they were early on in the treatment before they did such pretests, the ones that I've been doing the last couple of days, which would rule them out. And since then, since they've improved the pretests they do and improved the whole treatment that they give you, there have been no deaths, and the complications have massively reduced. So it's now comparable to any drug treatment that you get. Sort of, I think he said 0.3% or something like that. But really, they really are striving to improve the whole time, and this is obviously a better time to be doing this treatment than at any time previously, because they're constantly improving it. And he explained the whole process really well to me, and what would be happening and what will be happening next. So I'm more than happy, and I'm chomping at the bit to go for this, because, as I've told you, it's my only option. My MRI, my neck MRI is not looking great, so that looks like a pretty, surefire way to greater disability. So I need to stop that. and so that's what I'm doing. So I have already started some pills. I'll have my first infusion, I think, later on. So I'll be taking on drugs I'll be taking on steroids to gear up my body ready for a bit of a shock, because they'll be stimulating my bone to produce more and more stem cells, and that can give you sort of bone ache and this and that. So they give you steroids to kind of ready your body for a bit of a shock. So that's all going to start today. Fantastic. I'm well up for it. I'm really happy I'm healthy in body, but not so healthy in neck spinal cord lesions. So that sucks. Hope this was useful. Take it easy.